What is death? Well, we know what it is in the literal sense. The absence of life. The ceasing of body function. The sudden removal of everything that made us alive to begin with. In Greek mythology, it is defined as the departure of the soul from the body, marking the end of one's life on Earth. However, this is not the end of the soul. Throughout human history, and within recent popular culture, the idea of the underworld has taken on many forms. Within the Greek belief, it is stated to be a shadowy, bleak, and a hollow world, devoid of life's pleasures, run by Hades, god of the underworld and king of the dead. Amongst his actions and his stories lies a piece of art known as the sarcophagus with the abduction of Persephone by Hades. A piece that depicts one of Hades' actions that would change the fundamentals of how the cycle of life works as a whole in the world of Greek myth. This is the story of Persephone and the Seasons. The story begins with Persephone, daughter of the harvest god, Demeter. She's picking flowers in a large field, minding her own business, until a fissure cracks within the earth, and Hades emerges. He forcefully abducts Persephone, taking her into the underworld with him. The abduction can be seen within the details of the sarcophagus, as well as the petrified reaction of her mother, Demeter, on the opposite side of the long display. Unable to reach her daughter, and fearing for the worst, that she'll never see her again. And though it's not directly depicted in the art, the story does continue. Shortly after Persephone was taken, she was fed a pomegranate. This fruit caused her to be bound to the realm of the underworld, and forced her to stay with Hades for eternity. Funnily enough, despite the nature of the situation behind their meeting, sounding very possessive and unhealthy, many accounts say that Persephone and Hades had a very strong and positive relationship, representing the cycle of life, how things grow and they die. Back on Earth, however, Demeter was not taking the absence of her daughter well in the slightest. Upon hearing the news of her eternal stay with Hades in the underworld, she began to neglect the forces of nature. Crops began to lose nutrients and die. The weather grew harsh and cold, and conditions were hard to endure. Eventually, a deal was made. For around 4 to 6 months, Persephone would remain in the underworld with Hades. For the remaining 6 to 8 months, she would return home to her mother, restoring the crops and bringing upon a time of harvest and great weather. This is the Greek origin of the seasons. Depending on which story is used, the time spent in the underworld is either autumn and winter, or just winter, as that time of year is the harshest for the Greek people. So, where does that leave us? Within this story, we see what love would drive someone to do, how a mother grieves her lost daughter, and how even in strange situations, love can form, representing the interlinked cycle of life and death. Two opposing forces that work in tandem, despite their differences, despite everything.